Welcome back to the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. I am Alex Toledo. Just here by myself today. My guy Brady Hawk is already over there in the Heat Media Room. Ethan is doing the podcast with our guy Leif Sylvander, so go make sure to check that out as soon as you're done watching this. But the Heat, guys, they won another game. And not only that, they did it off of the efforts of a great offense. Again, just very surprising. The Heat won 125-120 against the Pacers at home. Very impressive win, man. I can't lie. Like I know a lot of people at this point are, essentially not mad if the Heat lose, just to kind of put it nicely there in regards to their draft pick situation this year. But nonetheless, it's an impressive win when you consider just how below mediocre this team has been since they traded Jimmy Butler to now go 2 straight wins off the backs of your offense. And look, they're not going to make a whole lot of threes every night. They made 23 last game. They made 17 tonight. They're not going to be able to do it every time. But I will say, there is something to be said about the way that they've been able to balance the two things. Now, you got to see if, the twos will still come when the threes aren't falling, right? Like, there's always a little bit of chicken in the egg there. But I do think that there's been a certain emphasis on the Heat getting paint touches. I think it's been really impressive that they've been able to generate so much offense these past couple of games, and it just felt so back and forth. And then, there's some pros and cons with that. I do think in the on the same end, right, same coin, different end of the coin, I should say, it was too back and forth. The Heat throughout the whole game, to me, it didn't really change much throughout the first and the second half. Throughout the whole game, it was really, the Pacers were getting whatever they wanted. They gave up, I believe, 21 assists to 3 turnovers between Halliburton and Nembhard. You can't do that. Siakam, I know he made 8 threes, which I don't know if he's ever done that in his whole career. I would have to check. So some of that you can wave away, but I do think you let him going far too easily in that first half. Though, you let all of those guys get going and kind of start feeling themselves a little bit. I thought they were getting easy buckets. Both teams finished with pretty great offensive numbers when you look at all the metrics, but the Heat ended up being better. And, both teams shot well from three. The Heat ended up being kind of the better team from two, and I think a lot of it had to do with their second chance points. They doubled up the Pacers, I believe, on the second chance points. And not only that, on a night where you're missing Andrew Wiggins, which I should have said earlier, right, where Hawkins started, and by the way, was really showing some stuff before he unfortunately sprained his ankle, which the x-rays came back negative, by the way. So it was good to see Hawkins get going. Unfortunately, he got hurt. Hopefully he'll be back soon. But on a night where you're missing Wiggins, missing Jovic for a month, right, and you lose Jaime in the middle of the game, to outscore, for the Heat's bench to outscore the Pacers bench by 22 is absolutely nuts to me. And just goes to show, the amount of depth they have on this team. For all their flaws and their outlook not being so bright at the moment as far as this season, they do have a whole lot of playable guys. Alec Burks gave you a lot tonight. Hawkins, like I mentioned before, he got hurt, gave you a lot tonight. You got another great game, I believe, from Davion and Haywood. Duncan was doing his thing. Tyler was doing his thing. You got a lot of great performances. And look, I mentioned the combined assist to turnover between Halliburton and Nembhard, but you basically almost balanced that out and kind of canceled it out when you look at the combined assist to turnover between Bam, Hero, and Mitchell. It was, I think, 24-3. So very good stuff. Mitchell has continued to show not only that he's a pit bull as a defender, but that he can be an offensive contributor for them. He's continued to make the threes. He's been shooting the threes at a great rate. That'll eventually come down. But I love the way he's going about it. He's taking the shots that are there for him. I like the way that he kind of pushes the ball in transition at times. Just in general, he's not like a quote-unquote true point guard, but he is something they've been missing in the sense of somebody that can settle them down a little bit, can occasionally create paint touches out of thin air just because he's pretty quick and can catch guys, off guard. I like the way he's been playing within the offense. He's not doing too much, but at the same time, him finishing with, the amount of assists he has, the amount of made threes, the occasional layups, he's really giving you more than just the awesome defense, which it has been awesome. So there's been some good stuff here. It'll be interesting to see what they do now with the Knicks coming up. It's going to be a real test for some of their guys. We'll see if Wiggins is back for that game. before tonight, really impressive win. Not sure a lot of us were expecting that, especially in a game where it's not necessarily their blueprint for winning, where it's kind of a back and forth offensive game. It's a offensively talented and proficient team like the Pacers. That's not necessarily the blueprint you'd expect for the Heat to win, especially missing the guys that they are, Wiggins and Jovic. Two of your five best offensive players on this roster. So from that, it was a weird game, but we move on to the next one. Make sure to watch the podcast. Like I mentioned, make sure to check out our Discord server. The link is going to be in the description. I'm going to head on to cover the Heat media conferences. Thank you guys.